Still the sore chapter. We're not allowed to bring it up at Christmas.
I'm fucking real, bro. You ain't shit.
I mean, if I can't say something that just cut cold or make someone laugh, I don't even type it.
You a fucking punk-ass bitch!
Jesus Christ, that hurt. I'm still got a headache over that.
I'm the greatest man talking on the fucking face of the earth right now.
You should be thanking me that I'm talking about Tennessee.
You just can't coach, to be honest with you. It's just a high school coach.
Fuck me.
What is it about with again? It's over again.
Yeah, go ahead, Unabomber. What the fuck are you saying about the SEC, bro?
Don't be ridiculous right now, okay?
No, USC is far better than Oklahoma historically.
Can we get a timeout just for half a second?
Because I want motherfuckers like you every goddamn day!
I just can't believe y'all put a statue of this guy already at your campus.
Dude, whatever you're smoking, buy a ton of it.
You a fucking punk-ass bitch!
Then it makes me look like I got owners.
Smacking off.
Welcome to Smacking Off the Podcast. The Padcast. Hang
Try
on.
it again.
And 3, 2, 1. And welcome on. Shit. Woo!
Pike, you do the intro.
Yeah,
Ready? I'll do it.
yeah, you do it.
Welcome back to the third Smacking Off podcast.
What's up, Mr. Pike? How are you this evening? Living the dream. You sound very far away. You could probably got us on
Sorry,
speakerphone.
I'm getting a beer out of the fridge. Can you hear this?
Yeah, I can hear that. We definitely heard that. That's third smack party living pure, right?
Hell yeah.
We are joined with a very special, brand new to the podcast, a fellow who's very active in SEC Smack. Ladies and gentlemen, Justin Pike's fake profile, Mr. Landon Beeman. Landon,
How we doing, everybody?
what's going on, buddy?
Just living life, enjoying myself as a college graduate. Third smack lifestyle.
Very nice, very nice. You graduated. What was your degree?
Marketing with a minor in computer science.
Oh shit, you're fixing to get paid.
Too late.
You're already up to your elbows in pussy, aren't you?
Lifestyles of the rich and famous, baby.
That's the way it works.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Pike,
What's up?
what are you doing right now?
Drinking a beer.
How is that beer?
Good.
Is it everything you hoped it would be?
Oh yeah, cold Miller Lite.
We got to talk because the last
I'm
time,
on vacation right now.
yeah, well, the last time we talked, speaking of vacation, you were a member of SEC Smack, and now, unfortunately, in fact, I checked it today. You are not. You care to comment on that?
Yeah, I'm on vacation.
What's going on with all that?
It's the off season. I'm laying low.
So you decided to just go ahead and check out. You weren't booted from the group.
I was booted.
You
I
were.
was booted for starting a fundraiser.
So now, but what? So what was the purpose of the fundraiser?
Well, I went out with my buddy's 30th birthday. Went out and I tried to be all big ball and pay for dinner. Then we went to the casino and I got real blackout drunk.
Oh yeah, that's a bad idea.
And I was broke till payday. So I said, fuck it. I've been in this group for how long? Never asked for nothing.
Supplied months and months worth of entertainment for everybody.
Oh man,
Exactly.
he has
And I
paid
never
he has
asked
paid dearly for SEC Smack, and I think that's a small pittance for people to just gather some change together.
Right.
40,000 people. If they all donated $1, I got $40,000.
And, I mean, seriously, and that's lifestyles of the rich and famous.
Wow.
Damn straight.
But
So-
it didn't work out that way.
Why?
Marshall got mad at me.
So why? I mean, but why do they have that rule in place? I wonder.
I don't know. They think people might be scamming people and stuff like that.
I don't see how you asking people straight up for money is a scam. I mean, you were completely upright and honest throughout the whole procedure.
I told them exactly what I was asking for it.
Yep.
Yeah, there was no pyramid scheme. There was
It's not
no
like he said that I've got some people over here that lost their house.
There
or
was
something.
no promise for anything later.
Right.
You know.
No, I told them I needed gas money to get to the furniture store.
I mean, if everybody just got a nickel together, what is that like? What, $200 or some shit?
More than that, 40,000 times a nickel.
Probably
something like that.
2,000. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not that good with numbers.
You're supposed to know this, Doug. You're the producer of the show. You're my math guy.
Landon graduated from Alabama.
Yeah, Landon, you're a college graduate. You need to chime in here. You stayed really, really quiet during this portion of the conversation.
I know how to sell and all that. I hire somebody to do my numbers.
Yeah, there you go. That's what's up right there.
Hey, you know what? Some people thinking that Tiggy is Landon. Landon and Tiggy are the same people.
No, we've had Tiggy on the show quite a bit. We've had you on with Tiggy.
Say bra for us, dude.
Yeah, bra.
Bruh.
Yeah, that's not him.
I don't know. Say that again.
Try that again.
Wait a minute. Do it again. Say it slower. Can you get stoned before you do it?
Yeah, it's him.
God
damn it.
I think it is him. Tiggy, what are you fucking doing on this show? We got really fucking quiet there. We've been had.
What if it's all just a big Ponzi scheme?
It probably is. This whole show is a Ponzi scheme, I think.
Do you have a link? Hey, do you have a link to give for your GoFundMe, or did you close it?
No, I decided to shut it down. See, look, I raised $363 in about 36 hours, and that's including 10 hours.
You honest to God raised $363? Holy shit!
$663
Hey, don't forget,
and 1
once
penny.
I donated
How much did you donate, Landon?
1 cent.
Y'all are friends, man. You're a fucking cheap bastard.
Hey,
you know that?
don't it cost 5 cents to process?
I don't know.
He lost you 6 cents.
Yeah.
I mean,
But I got
4
two
cents.
$100 donations, and that helped out a lot.
Who'd you get the $100 donations from? One of them was from Wanda, wasn't it?
Yeah, Wanda and Tim Chandler.
No.
Good
I
answer.
appreciate it. Shout out to them. If you
No, BB.
No, BB. She blocked me. I'm permanently blocked by BB.
We gotta get
Really?
BB on.
Have y'all ever had BB on here?
No, we've tried to, and she's an elusive fox.
She said she wasn't doing no video, and I told her we don't
I
do.
would love to get on the podcast with BB one day.
I told her we don't require you to do video to come on, and
What'd you say?
nothing. That was her last response is I don't do video. That was 4 months ago,
Probably
and
can't even spell podcast.
Well, and to be fair, I mean, some of the people we've had on, this is like the first time that they've made a call over the internet and things like that. So I'm dead serious, man. We've actually had some callers that they can't figure out how to do the Google Hangouts thing.
Yeah,
so we have to do
I was
it.
just in that group. This guy's like, "Hey, how's this stuff go again?"
Yeah, I mean, but at the same time, I can't blame him because when I first started doing the podcast, I wasn't really acclimated to this either, but I've been on social media and computers a lot. Yeah, you've got to.
I've been using Google. I've been
you're
using
so far advanced with the.
But I've been using Google
stuff.
Voice for my home phone since 2009.
Yeah, but see, the thing is, Doug's a Linux guru. In fact, he has my computer set up Linux here at the house. It's the one we run the show on, and actually was the one that sold me on the old XBMC and Kodi and stuff like that over the years. I hadn't paid a cable bill in over a decade now.
No shit.
Yeah, and I don't miss a damn thing.
Good shit.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you, y'all get on that Kodi, man. Get you a Fire Stick, get some Kodi, and just go to town.
They're not
going
to get you either. They'll get people sharing, but they won't get people watching because you don't download it. You just stream it.
Yeah, and that's the whole legal thing about it. But boy, we really got off base with this one.
My roommate has.
We'll cut this part out.
No.
Let's leave it on.
Yeah, we got to leave it on.
Okay.
Hey, I'm hearing Jalen Hurts is looking awesome in spring workouts for Alabama.
We're fixing to find out.
The guy's got a decent record, y'all. I mean, I don't know why anybody would be surprised that Jalen Hurts would, be anything better than,
8-day game
What's
Saturday.
his record?
Jalen's what? He's lost 2 games?
26-2.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not going to shock me. I've said all along that he will probably start.
Now, I'm also going to be very quick to point out, as an Alabama fan, that all of those 26 wins were not due to, or not every
Not due
single
to
one
him?
of them. We're not due to his performance. There's been a couple of them that
Some
we
of
won
them.
despite his performance.
Which one in spite of Jalen?
The Washington game, Tiggy.
Yeah, that's Tiggy's claim. His claim to
he
fame
loves
is
to talk
that
about that one.
Washington held Jalen to 50 yards, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations.
Right. I mean, they had almost 300 on the
Yeah,
ground.
Washington was like 3 plays away from winning that whole game.
Bama had 300 on the ground. I mean, if you can run at will, you don't have to pass.
Fucked by the
and
refs.
nobody does.
Fucked by Saban paying the players. I mean, it's just.
I don't even think a passing team would pass if they lined up and started running and the other team couldn't stop them. Why would you?
Yeah. Pike, I'm hearing a lot of chatter there out in Knoxville.
What's going on up there?
Well, it really just everybody's really high on the Pruitt hire, very high on the fact that Fulmer's back, very high on the way things are running right now. Care to comment on that?
I wish Phil would have just coached us. I want Phil to come back.
I'm surprised they got that fat motherfucker off the couch to do what he's doing for them now.
I know.
I mean, I think they're giving him the illusion that he's in charge. So, he's, of course, we all know how that works. He's not really in charge.
Who's in charge?
I wanted John Gruden.
That'd be the trustees and the president.
Oh, Gruden.
John Gruden.
Gruden said that he wasn't going to coach again
No.
until the Raiders called, and then
Well, you got a 10-year, $100 million contract.
right.
That changed your mind.
Well,
yeah.
Sorry, Tennessee could have paid him what? What could Tennessee have paid him?
Tennessee could have paid him 10,
They could have
10
paid
years, 10 years and $100 million without breaking a sweat.
I think they could have.
It'd been a little much.
Bama pays that.
Luxury, elegance, German engineering. Are you jealous yet? I'm Ashley Schaefer Imports. Another beautiful day here in paradise. For 6 years running, we've set the gold standard for German import sales in the Shelby area, and we plan to do it for 6 more years running. Hey, I just sold another car. You know one thing's for sure, when you leave Schaefer Motors driving out in a pre-owned sedan, you can rest assured it's gone through its 568-point inspection plan. From headlights to ass, that car is surely checked out. Need financing? No problem. Just show up with a driver's license, a birth certificate, even a pay stub. Doesn't have to be yours. At Schaefer Motors, if you have my name on it, you have our word on it.
Ashley Schaefer Motors. We're the best dealership in the best part of town with the best cars. We're the best. Plus, Friday, it's Kenny Powers night where you can meet former baseball superstar Kenny Powers.
Yeah, but at the same time, we're talking about a high caliber coach
They
that
pay more
they
than that.
want. Really, the only main objective is to beat Nick Saban at this point. And we all know, because we've all played video games before, that sometimes you can't just clear a level and you have to go find some cheat code or something like that. John Gruden would have been that cheat code, I guess you could say.
No guarantee that
Jim Harbaugh is going to be that cheat code.
Yeah, fuck Jim Harbaugh.
no guarantee that Gruden would even come in and succeeded. In my opinion.
Exactly. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Tell him what
At the same time, that's who I wanted.
Dave Patterson.
I got Jim Harbaugh. I got 2 words for you. Gus Malzahn. He's the Gus Malzahn of the North.
No. No, that's not even close to being right. That's
Well, yeah, you're right. Malzahn is he is the best 8-5 coach in America right now.
Yeah, that's a little over the top.
That's a true statement. He is definitely the best. I will stake my whole entire reputation on it. Gus Malzahn is the best 8-5 coach in the nation right now.
Yeah, I would go along with that.
God, how bad do you have to
Because
feel?
I think most of the time he's going to win 9 games probably.
How bad do you have to feel as a fan base to have beaten the two teams that wound up in the national championship?
I feel
and
I
lose
feel
the
terrible
fucking
for Auburn.
bowl game to a low conference, low level conference team that fields a one-armed man.
Maybe the SEC ain't as good as we thought it was.
Have
I don't know. I can think of several SEC teams that you could have put in that situation that would have fared a lot better than Auburn did in that game.
Have y'all watched the Auburn Smackers try to actually?
We're talking about UCF. Jesus
Yeah,
Christ.
but have y'all watched them try to engage lately?
They're pathetic.
It's terrible. I know a guy named, I'll just call him EE. And he
may or may not have been on the show before.
Yeah, he's been trying to convince me that I should be upset about Bama losing at Auburn, ever since it happened. And I was pretty upset right after it happened, but the further distance that we got from the game, it's all my hurts kind of went away.
Yeah, it's kind of one of the greatest things that could have happened.
And he
to
was
us.
like, man, Jalen couldn't even snap the ball, man. That was, and I was like, man, Auburn probably had more potential than Alabama this year. And they went 9-4, and Alabama won the national championship. Let that sink in for a minute.
And they kept Gus Malzahn.
Yep, that kept them. They made it where they're going to have to pay out the ass to get him out of there now.
Yeah.
What game do you think next year they'll want to fire him?
No.
You're going to hear it early.
Well, we heard it early last season. If you want to get down to it, if you go back and look at the threads early in last season, probably about week 3 or week 4, they were already calling for us at it. It was the LSU loss last year.
I've changed my mind about the Washington game.
Washington, if they lose to Washington, they are in some serious trouble next season.
I've got a feeling they're going to lose to Washington. They don't play good away from home, and they do not play good.
We got to have Tiggy on.
Yeah.
I'll be a big fan for that game. I'll go for Washington against Auburn.
Oh, I'm definitely going for Washington against Auburn. It's probably the only time in my life I'll ever pull for
When's
Washington.
the last time that Auburn won in Atlanta? 2013?
Yeah, I guess when Louisville.
Yeah.
Cammy Cakes.
Oh, yeah. Did they play Louisville in Atlanta?
Yeah, they beat them with Jeremy Johnson's Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, okay. That guy.
He
was a Heisman contender at one point.
Yeah, for about 20 minutes.
Yeah, for about 20 minutes, very early in the season. I love hating on Auburn. That's really, I mean, and it seems like no matter what guests we bring on this show, when we start talking about some Auburn bullshit, it brings the guests together. It really does.
Yeah, fuck BB and fuck Auburn.
Yeah, there's a lot of that going on. Poor Wayne.
I want to do a podcast with BB's husband.
Does BB is she married?
No, she's got a boyfriend that she loves very much.
A boyfriend that she loves very much.
How do you know this?
How do you know about this?
Is he a furniture?
She's told me.
Yeah, so you've chatted with her privately about this.
She's messaged me before, but it's not in a good way.
Oh, like sexting?
Cussing me out.
Oh, okay. But nothing.
Like, I got a fucking boyfriend. Leave me alone, you stupid fucking drunk. Shit like that.
Oh, she never sent you any nude selfies or anything. Well, that's good. I like to hear that. You know,
she's faithful.
Bebe is keeping herself
We've got to make this BB Pike segment happen.
I've been trying. I've tried desperately. BB's having no part of it. She won't even come on solo.
Does anybody even know her voice? We'll just hire somebody.
Artistic, and we'll even bill it as an artistic dramatization of Bebe.
What would happen if Bebe come on? Yeah. I like it.
Wouldn't that be great if we could get just some random old woman to read some of Bebe's like threads from Facebook? Put a little soft music behind it.
Probably just could go to Auburn and go to Walmart and get a cashier, and then I'll probably do it.
Well, you should probably go to Auburn because she lives down there, doesn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah, you just go down to Walmart at Auburn and just wait for a while. She'll show up.
In her 1993 Buick.
For work, yeah.
I don't know why she hates me so bad. I've always been nice to her. She still hates me.
You have been a saint.
You fucked a pillow for her birthday. What are you talking about?
That was one of my favorites, by the way. Thank you for bringing that up, Landon. Landon gets a point.
My comments blew up.
That was a good one.
I don't think that helped y'all's relationship.
No, it really did. It drove
I
away.
It freaked her out shortly after I was blocked.
Was there a hole in the pillow?
That pillow became the wedge in the relationship. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she blocked me after that. I'm the one that posted the video because Pike was booted at that time.
So, and Landon, you're still in Smack, right?
No, I'm not. I got booted randomly because of the stuff Pike did too. I made a farewell post, and I guess people bought it. And next thing I know, I got booted. I mean, I literally didn't do anything, and I got booted.
Wow.
We're on vacation.
So, but you both will be back. I sincerely hope.
I don't know. I heard this is my final straw. I heard I'm never allowed back in. I don't know. I
don't know about Pike. I think there's hope for me, but I don't know.
I will say this on air. We did reach out through one of the admins to SEC Smack to see if someone would actually join us on this segment, and have yet to hear any word back.
God. We should have got Lee Boo on here. I'd have cussed him out.
No, we could
cut her out.
If we're going to get we'll get Jarita on.
I like Bobby West.
Bobby's, did you catch episode 0?
I don't believe I did.
Go back and catch we actually released it last week. It is the full interview we did with Bobby
And it's our
West
weakest episode ever. It's only got like 30-something views.
Yeah,
I've always thought about
and it's hilarious.
to Birmingham to try to find Bobby to meet up with and say hello.
I think it hurt that people knew that part of the interview had been included in an episode before, but it's the entire interview, and what we left out is definitely worth listening to. It's some funny shit.
It really is. Yeah, I went to, and I love bringing this up. I went to high school with Bobby. We grew up right down the road from where I live, and Bobby has not changed a damn bit. He was a little pimp, Mr. TV personality way back when. So,
all right, let's cut to it.
Has anyone ever met Tiggy?
No.
I'd see a picture of Tiggy.
No. And no, I take that back. I have seen, and I can't remember, I dug somewhere and I actually found a picture of Tiggy. Tiggy's a young dude.
Get the hell out.
Yeah, and he plays basketball or something, so he's a really tall, lanky kid.
Damn, where'd you get this at? Where's it
I
at?
can't remember where I saw it, and somebody else had mentioned this before, and I went to dig the picture up, and I couldn't find it again. It's when he first added me on his friends list.
Tiggy soaked that shit up.
I think that's when he really started getting his feet wet as far as interacting with all the different smackers, and he started pulling the.
And he morphed into the
down.
thumb, and then he hasn't.
Just a normal, average-looking, teenage kid. I think he's 20 now. Yeah, so
he said he was older.
He
said he was older than 18 and younger than 20. So.
It's 19. I'm sorry,
Right.
19. But he's still legal though. That's what's important here.
But that was his exact words when we asked him how old he was.
Remember when he got really defensive and we got into it?
Come on, man. Y'all
were friends. Y'all had made friends.
Didn't y'all
since then.
script that off air?
Well, yeah, but we got a lot of things out and we're fine now.
Well, that's good. That's good. I mean, he's still booted from SEC Smack too. I don't think he'll ever return either. So this show, that's what this show.
There's been a lot of good ones booted back.
We should change the name of the show to the Island of Misfit SEC Smackers.
Oh man, that.
J-Rod was a good one.
We'll get sued. There'll be an injunction.
Y'all remember J-Rod?
By Bobby Shannara.
J-Rod.
Yeah.
Mike's VP.
Yeah.
Player.
Yeah.
Player.
Yeah. What happened to him?
He got booted for trying to add a bunch of fake profiles.
I mean, he disappeared from every group, or either that or that was the only group he was in.
Do you remember Danny Carr?
Yeah. In fact, I think he's. No, I'm thinking
the
somebody
white
else.
rapper.
Russ Mozart is in
Smack Jesus.
Yeah, he's in exile permanently, I think.
Yeah, every
What
group
did he
is
do?
banned. Every group in town has banned him.
For what?
I don't know. He's really. I don't.
Do you just not catch what he does, or you just don't get why?
I see what he says on the post, and I don't see why people get all that upset about it.
Right.
So, Smacking Off invites you to join us on the podcast. If you have an opinion on an upcoming game, some commentary on your conference, or want to roll with one of your fellow smackers on air, hit us up. You can message us at the Smacking Off or X's and O's Facebook pages, email me at maddenshannon@toothfairy.com, or call us on the Smack line, 304-508-BAIT. And as always, fuck your team. And to be quite frank, my grandmother may have been a whore at one point in time. I'd have no way of knowing that.
Your great grandmother definitely, because
Yeah.
you never met her.
Yeah,
I wish
met her.
Family Smack was allowed.
I do too, because I got some really good ones I've been saving up.
And there'd be some mad motherfuckers on there.
I've got this thing with tuna and chlamydia that would just you would die over. Whatever.
Maybe we should
no family smack, please.
Maybe we should start a
Please
smack
no
group
family
called
smack.
Family Smack.
Oh, I don't know. That's genius.
Let's do it.
Pike, I'm gonna throw you a bone here. Start a Facebook group and call it Family Smack. That'd be fucking awesome,
man. If you don't, I'm gonna beat you to it, but I'll add you as an admin.
Yeah.
But listen, there will be no rules.
Yeah.
Do anything.
And we'll go until Facebook shuts it down.
And I've been on several of those pages before. I'm actually in one right now, and they've started clamping down a little bit. But the best one was Unpopular Opinions. You remember that one?
Yeah, it's gone.
Oh my god, that was one of the greatest things ever.
Is Unpopular Opinions 2.0 still around?
It probably is, but it's nowhere near like
Not
the original.
nearly as good.
Victoria Wong, remember that bitch? Woo, man, she'd kill him.
Unpopular Opinions started getting dominated by flat earthers.
Yeah.
Every time I went on there, it was like 5 flat earther posts.
Neither one of you guys are flat earthers, I hope.
I often thought about it. I'm a conspiracy theorist in a way.
Well, I mean, I kind of am too a little bit, but
I'm gonna just say I've been up on my roof before, and the Earth looks flat from there.
Shut the fuck
It
up.
does.
It does not.
It looks kind of flat.
True.
You're probably just looking at another roof.
And then it's like, why am I not spinning the whole time? You know what I'm saying? If the Earth is spinning, it's
Yeah.
a ball. Why ain't I falling over ever?
I don't know. There's this whole gravity thing that people
And
keep
why- and
trying
why
to
does
shove down my throat.
And let's just think about this for a second. Why does a plane need to have a motor or anything? I mean, why can't it just hover and wait for the Earth to get there to it?
That's
if it's
actually
turning,
a good idea.
huh?
That's a good idea. You need to patent that.
Just think about it. It just lifts off and waits for the Earth to turn to where it's going.
Well, that's kind of what they do, anyways. With some of the flight patterns that they make,
Yeah.
you know, because the planes don't just fly straight across the Earth.
It makes you think.
And you know, I don't know. Maybe y'all are kind of talking me into this shit now.
I hope I'm not talking you into it. I'm not a flat
I think
earther.
you are. You are. You're a fucking flat earther, and I think I am too. Can we change the whole tone of this podcast? Let's just start doing a flat earther podcast.
It is the off season.
Yeah, it is the off season. Nobody will notice.
There's
Keep
a lot
it
of basketball players that are flat earthers. Sorry, there's at least 2 popular NBA players that are flat earthers.
I'll be damned.
Or former NBA players, maybe.
I have
Shaq.
not-
Kyrie Irving was
Shaq.
doing it. He
Man,
said
fuck Shaq. He knows better than that.
Well, he said the Earth was flat.
Do you remember that one movie where Sinbad played a genie that he was in?
Yeah. I think they hung up.
Yeah, that was probably the best thing to do at this point.
What's up? No, I'm here.
What's going on?
I'm here.
Hey, welcome back to Smacking Off the podcast. We're joined with
No, so
Justin
I was
Pike and
getting
Landon Beeman talking about flat Earth.
No, I was getting a beer.
Get drunk.
Are you getting tore up?
Yeah, I'm getting tore up tonight. Tonight's my Sunday. I usually drink on Mondays and Tuesdays.
So you usually go to work hungover on Wednesdays?
Yeah, but I don't have to go until 3 o'clock.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. You can kind of sleep it off and, you know,
Oh, yeah.
We can play
Gatorade
2K
it up.
tonight, Mike.
That program was lit today. Me and Landon, we
Dude,
played
it
video
was.
games, Xbox Live together.
What were y'all playing?
NBA 2K.
Oh, okay.
On the Xbox One.
Out of the
And
two of you, who is the better?
Well, we're all individual players, and we play like 5-on-5, 4-on-4, and we always play on the same team.
Oh, okay.
So we're always playing against. But who's the better player? Probably me.
No, I was going to ask it. Well, then who's Michael Jordan? Who's
let's
Scottie
be honest,
Pippen in this
now,
equation?
we played online, you know who wins.
I'm the team captain. I'm the leading scorer. Landon's like the point guard, though. We're 1A, 1B. I'm 1A. He's 1B.
So you're Michael Jordan. He's Scottie Pippen.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. I'm LeBron James. He's Dwayne Wade.
Fair enough.
What's up, Landon?
Third
What's
flat.
up? Third smack.
Yeah, third smack is definitely up in this bitch. And
Yeah.
and unfortunately, there's no SEC smack to participate in. This
Explain-
kind of and this sucks. They're still kind of hanging in for their team, and they're not even allowed on SEC smack. This is bullshit.
Is anybody? How's the group going? Does anybody miss me in there?
Yes, they're
I'm glad I'm gone.
yes, they're well. I don't know. It's a mixed bag. I mean, you know, all the cool kids they hate to see you gone because you keep it entertaining. In
The biggest
off-season.
story today was that some girl posted a selfie and she got fucked with.
Are you talking about Tammy Klein?
Sure.
Yeah, Doug wants to get Tammy Klein on here.
Let's get her on.
And I think she's been on. I think she's been in SEC Smack before, has she not? Or is she new to SEC Smack?
I don't know. David.
I thought she was a fake profile, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I thought she was Tiggy.
There ain't no fakes.
Yeah, no fakes, no diggity.
Cleveland Thompson.
No,
Everybody thought Landon was fake. Landon's not fake. He was
No,
just
Landon
part
is
of
an
the
actual real person. We have confirmed this on the show.
Hold on, y'all haven't talked at the same time yet.
Yeah, I think it's hilarious how all those stupid rednecks buy into that I'm a fake profile. I think it's hilarious.
You've never felt actually personally like violated by some of the nasty, awful, disgusting things they say about you?
No, not at all. I think it's hilarious. I go right back at them. It's all in good fun.
Can I ask both of you a question though, really quick? Do you think some of the people that, and it's like, I don't know what it is about Pike Threads, but there's like a bunch of people that I've never seen comment on anything before suddenly show up and say some of the most just backwoods redneck, you fucking buy this and this, that, and the other. And, you know, you can kind of tell that they don't make a lot of money and don't have a lot of teeth. And, you know what I'm saying? Do you think that might still be backlash from your previous incident in SEC Smack that involved the veterans?
Well, I think it's a combination of a lot of things, but the veteran thing does have something to do with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you fucked up there, dude. Come on.
I don't know. I saw the post that he made, and I think it got read the wrong way.
I owned up to it. I said I wasn't going to discuss it no more, but now we're discussing it again.
Well, and again, so I'll just
I fucked up. I owned it. I was out for like 6-7 months. It was the longest time I ever got kicked out.
Well, I saw the original
I
post.
owned every single day of that Facebook jail, smack jail suspension.
I saw the original post though, and I think it was just a simple matter of not wording something right. Is the way that I saw it, because I understood the actual intent of what it was saying and not the way it was written.
It came out.
Does that make sense? Because it seems like there was like, and I can't remember it verbatim. You probably do. You probably haunted you for months.
Lee Bradley made me do the post.
Really?
Yeah, he told us this on another segment.
He did. That's right. Right. Yeah.
He make a Memorial Day post.
And he's probably the one
I
that
still got the screenshot to prove it.
he's probably the one that sicked Marshall on you too.
Yeah, and then Lee Bradley. Oh, Lee Bradley, he's two-faced.
Whoa. So y'all are saying that Lee Boo is no?
I'm
He'll
not.
stab you right in the back.
I'm not. I don't know Lee Boo enough to make that, but I'm just saying that he said that.
Well, we done made friends. You know,
He's
we've
quite
had
a character, I will say.
We've had Lee Boo on the show. We've had Jarita on the show. His cousin lives down the road, and we love some Jarita up here. That is a fine woman.
Yeah,
I'm talking about. There's a lot of comfort there.
Yeah.
I thought Tiggy was brilliant with his post, and I think he shared it directly to the veterans groups.
Oh,
the one with a picture of Pike. He said, "This is my dad, and he died in the war." It was Pike. He got you in trouble for that too, didn't he?
He didn't even do anything on that one too.
I know. Yeah, Pike had nothing to do with it.
I was getting death threats. It was a scary time of my life.
Well, and plus on the heels of all the other shit that you went
Because most of the people that were mad probably thought you and Tiggy were the same person anyway.
Yeah, and I was thinking about leaving Facebook altogether. I thought about just saying, okay, this is done. I can't handle this anymore.
I had a guy, I wish I could remember his name, but when you and Uncle Lou were on, and we did that as a live segment, and I went and shared the live link before we kicked it in, and I had a admin, I think it was NCAA Smack was the name of the group, that swore up, and he actually pulled my post. He said that you and Uncle Lou were the same guy. And he was dead fucking serious. And I was like, dude, they're both coming on the show tonight, and I'll even include video of both of them if you want to do that.
That just shows you how clever I am.
Yeah.
Pike, you really are a genius with this, I have to be honest.
And shout out to Uncle Lou.
I've said that numerous times, long before we started doing the show, about Pike's genius, and its simplicity.
Yep.
It's sublime. It's just God.
It's like internet wrestling.
Gay Swiss Power Cologne. Who knew you could bottle the scent of a boner?
Visit our Facebook pages, Smacking Off the Podcast fan page and Smacking Off the Podcast group page, facebook.com/group/smackoff, facebook.com/smackologists.
Or
Yeah, you are the Andy Kaufman of of Smack.
Fuck that. He's Ric Flair, man.
Yeah.
I think I'll be back in Smack, and I can't wait for my first post when I go, guess who's back, motherfuckers?
I really wish we could have got David Marshall for this segment.
I've stayed the night at David's house one weekend. David's a conservative guy as far as he wouldn't do nothing like coming on that podcast. Hell, he goes to bed at 8, 9 o'clock every night.
He's an old guy. How old is David? He's what, in his 60s?
I don't know. I'd say mid-50s.
Mid-50s? He looks a little older than that.
Yeah.
Maybe
mid-60s. I don't know.
Yeah, we've extended the offer to him. He probably wouldn't have done this one because he didn't want to address the Pike thing right now.
And you would be surprised at some of the very loud and boisterous people we've talked to
who will not do it.
Who will not do it. They just don't want their voice to be heard, or they're too shy, or they They, I guess it's a lot easier when you're behind a keyboard and you can kind of sit and think about your persona and how you're going to project yourself. Whereas, just having a conversation with somebody and, things can get interpreted the wrong way or this, that, and how it goes.
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Landon.
Well, and then a lot of this podcast stuff, it's around the, southern base, you know what I'm saying? So it's not the most intelligent people we're dealing with here,
Well,
at the same time.
sometimes, you have to realize that, there's a lot of factors that go into that, not just, because people are poor, or they're dumb, or this, that, and the other. There's, there's a lot of, living here in Alabama, there's been a lot of massive change that some of these people who were stuck way further back, in a much older and different time are suddenly just having to kind of get thrust into. And it's been a lot of resistance. No two ways around it, just with technology, with, the way the world works these days. So I don't know.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I don't know. I try to take that into consideration sometimes when, I meet people that are not, haven't really been as around the block as I have, put it that way.
They're the funnest ones to troll.
Oh man, they really are though.
Oh yeah,
they're probably my favorite group of people I like to go after.
Yeah.
Oh, mine's got to be the Georgia fans. The Georgia fans, getting them triggers hilarious.
Man, I have never ever seen a fan base get so triggered. Oklahoma comes pretty close, but I've never seen a fan base get so triggered than Georgia Bulldogs. They are just.
I've never seen a fan base that can lose the national championship to a second-string quarterback, and then after the game think they somehow won.
Yeah, that's how they act. They act like they won the game.
Yeah.
It's like, well, we dominated the game up until a certain, till the y'all had to go to your second string guys. So basically, that's a moral loss right there for you.
Yeah. Even though we're holding the real trophy.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, that's why they haven't won a damn thing since 1980. So
And they're not gonna.
Not mine.
I think we're gonna keep. We might see them come close again, but.
No, look, to be fair, though, I will say that it is truly remarkable what Kirby Smart has been able to do there in such a short time.
Yeah, it is. It is, but it remains to be seen whether he's going to.
Yeah, he's going to have to go the distance with it. He starts trailing off and doing 10-2 and 9-3 seasons, then
people gonna.
He's an excellent coach, though. He really is.
I think he is.
He is a good coach and a
He's
very
a real
good
deal.
recruiter too.
Oh, a damn good recruiter. I think probably one of the best we've seen as far as head coaches go, and also lends a little bit of credence to the fact that a lot of the great recruiting that was happening in Alabama had something to do with Kirby Smart. I think it's safe to say that. Now, was it solely responsible? No. I mean, we're still recruiting at a pretty steady clip.
He can call a damn defense, though.
Yes, he can.
Yeah, I mean, he's a great coach. It just remains to be seen whether he's going to be a Saban.
If he got somebody
type
like
coach.
Hugh Freeze in there and let Hugh Freeze run the offense and him run the defense, watch out.
Yeah, the thing with Georgia fans, I always try to tell them, I don't see them winning a national championship with Jim Chaney as the OC. I just don't see that guy getting done as the OC to win a national championship.
Well, and we've seen this too, that the most successful coaching staffs have a revolving door. So if we start, eventually he'll get pushed out because there's a lot riding on the line. The Georgia fans can taste it now. They actually got to go to the national championship last year. Their mouths are filled with blood.
And the play right before the one that sunk them.
Yeah,
I mean, they could taste that shit. I mean, he basically took a sack and put us out of field goal range in a game where we needed a field goal to keep.
Oh, it was a crushing. That was a crushing play, and I was like, "That's it. The game's fucking over."
You know what? You know what I said? I told Kat. I looked over and I said, "This Georgia defense is tired as fuck. Keep your eyes open because they're vulnerable as shit right now. Because right now they're thinking if we can just hold them right here." But they're still tired of shit. And it happened exactly like I was thinking.
Mm-hmm. It did. Over and over and over again in chat rooms everywhere.
Yes.
2-26 forever.
Yes.
I love it.
My Washington Wizards are getting their asses whooped right now.
Oh.
I'm going to Game 3.
Washington still fields a basketball
Why'd they
game?
change their name? Didn't they used to be the Bullets?
Or the Generals or
Preston
something?
Pike will be in the house, Game 3, Friday night, 8 o'clock.
Oh, okay. Well, anybody ever wanted the chance to meet Justin Pike?
He's signing autographs at the Wizard.
He will be signing autographs before the game.
Yep. Section 116, row J.
Okay.
Bring $5. It's $5 a signature.
Yeah.
Right?
I'll do it for free if somebody comes up and says hey to me.
I'd come up there and get your autograph. What are you doing tomorrow? You got anything going on tomorrow?
There's a crazy person listening. That's going to be listening to this.
DC's what, like 14, 15-hour drive? Something like that?
Yeah. I think.
Damn.
Yeah, we could do it. We used to make it all the time. You know, like I said, we've got family up there. My dad's got family in the area. He was born in Falls Church. And,
I've worked in Falls Church before.
Yeah, my uncle lives in Alexandria. I've got some family that lives up in Maryland, up in was that Rockville?
Yeah, I know Rockville's
Yeah. So yeah, we used to make the drive up. Of course, I got a really big family, 14 of us, so we'd all pile up in a big, giant, huge, massive van. Of course, this was before there was 14 of us. I think there was probably about 7 or 8 of us.
How many grandkids now?
Oh God, there's we're up to 20.
Fixing to be 21?
Yeah, well, actually, fixing to be 23.
Shit.
We got 3 of them on the way right now.
Damn, y'all some breeding.
Yeah, man. We got the line is strong.
Yep.
My seed is pure. Yeah. All right, well, fellas, I really don't see any reason that we need to drag this out any longer. We're so thankful to have both of you on the show, and Landon, we would love to have you back on the show too, because we have lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of football to talk about.
And it's coming, and it's going to get more intense.
Absolutely, would love to be back on.
And Pike, you always have an open invitation here.
We're going to do we're going to do a group discussion with like 4 people from each conference. Closer to time, probably June, July. We'll start doing this.
Landon, are you going to be representing the Pac-10?
Negative.
Okay.
There's no Pac-10.
Excuse me, the Pac-12. I'm sorry. Big Ten. I got Big Ten and Pac.
I'll leave that.
I got dyslexic there for a minute.
Hey, listen, what would be a good podcast to put Tiggy and Landon on there to debate the Alabama-Washington game?
That'd be great.
Oh, I'd love to. I would love to.
All right, so everybody that listens to this, listen. Say something, Pike.
Hey.
Say something, Landon.
Hello.
Not the same fucking people.
Yeah.
Listen, they're not the same person.
Not the same person. Everybody get the fuck over it. Thank you, fellas. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I mean, I don't consider myself a troll, really. I consider myself a
I don't know about, bro, not me, bro. I don't know about Justin.
Speak goddamn women and something, man. I'll beat your goddamn brains out.
Yeah, but it was still a horrible look for Oklahoma.
Dude, whatever you're smoking, buy a ton of it.
Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Chris Scully.
I appreciate you guys having me on tonight.
Hey man, it's great for you to come on. We have actually spent I don't know, it's been a few broadcasts here and there. We've referenced the new Paterno movie, which is now finally out. I finally seen it, and I'll give you my opinion on that here in just a moment.
Oh, that's fine.
But yeah, I don't know. I guess we're reliving this whole scenario one more time. And chatting online about the movie, you actually popped up into a thread and offered a very unique perspective that I haven't heard anybody talk about before. So I'll let you go ahead and I'll let you get into it.
Oh, that's no problem. It's like they just keep pouring salt in an old wound.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what anybody's going to benefit other than the producers at HBO and the people involved in the movie. Which I will say, Al Pacino did a wonderful job as Paterno. You almost kind of like with a lot of Al Pacino roles, you kind
Yeah, I
of forget
really
that you forget that you're watching Al Pacino,
Yep.
and you kind of he's just that kind of actor, you know. Now, having said that,
Yeah, it's kind of funny. A lot of people actually say I look like Al Pacino.
well, we can't really see you on the camera.
I've got that on there before a few times.
We can't see you on the camera. We're looking right now.
Yeah, I'm just an Italian Irish boy from Pittsburgh.
Very nice.
All us Italians look like.
Well, I will say this: the Pacino is just about the only reason to watch the movie, as far as I'm concerned. I thought the movie had a very made-for-TV movie. It kind of moved at a very, the little backstory with the reporters and this, that, and the other kind of made it almost feel like, a cheap attempt to rip off House of Cards or something. I don't know. I didn't like it. I didn't like the whole tone. I didn't like the scope. I felt they could have done a much more better, I don't know, maybe even kind of throw a little. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that, you would have figured with a character as large as Joe Paterno, they would have had a little bit more backstory, a little bit more Joe Pa involved in that. I think that would have made the movie so much more enjoyable and so much more watchable. But really, I don't know. It was like Pacino comes on the screen, you pay attention for a few minutes, and then they kind of just do that other crap to build the story up and, alter the timeline and this, that, and the other. And I don't really feel like HBO played in bounds on this one because I think there was a lot of information that they used, just based on a court transcript that was never really followed up with as fact, things like that.
Talking about the 1976.
Well,
deal.
I'm not referencing any one, particular thing that they brought up. But yeah, I mean, that's a good place to start. Was the one at the very end where the caller talked to the reporter about, the incident that he reported to Joe Paterno.
Kind of like
back in
just kind of
76.
throwing an innuendo in, and then
Yeah, like, we know this happened, and here's some more evidence that we've unearthed, some exclusive, and but it's never been corroborated. So anyway.
Well, let me give you a little backstory about me. I'm a diehard Penn State fan, 40 years, and I'm 47. So, and when the story broke out, I mean, I was in shock, just like every other Penn State fan. And, as far as Jerry Sandusky, I mean, I thought he was guilty as all hell. But as far as what they were saying about Paterno, see, I coached middle school in Virginia when I lived down there back in 2009.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a job coaching middle school. Well, my athletic director, after I got hired, he went over the protocols and he told me, he said, hey, if you ever ever suspect any abuse, emotional, physical, sexual, you report it to me.
You don't report it to the authorities. Yeah. Now, we've actually talked about that on this show before.
Yeah. And I said, why? And, I said, why can't I call the police? He said, well, if you do, and your allegations turn out to be false, you're fired.
That's right.
And we could be, for a false allegation.
that's exactly what I said
I
a couple weeks ago.
How they were making Joe Paterno the whole scapegoat of the whole situation.
Yeah, I totally agree.
He did the right thing. It was never prosecuted. He was never charged with any crime. But yet, you got to remember something too. Penn State panicked because Penn State, all those years Paterno was at the helm, they were a squeaky clean program. They never, ever even heard of NCAA allegations or any accusations that was against the program. Now, there was some off-field issues, and Joe Paterno always did the right thing. I mean, he benched starters if they messed up. I'm talking 3, 4, 4-year, 5-year seniors if they screwed up or didn't make the grade.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking, this man of integrity and all the time that he put in, I don't think Joe Paterno, if he knew that Jerry Sandusky was a pedophile, I don't think he would let this go in his own front yard. I'm not talking backyard. I'm talking front yard. Penn State was his front yard.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
Now, I will propose this. Let me interject just for a moment, because I do just want to propose this. Maybe Joe Paterno did report it, in a timely fashion, or maybe there was something said at one point in time, and we'll look into it. But he's real prominent here, so on and so forth, this, that, and the other. But don't you worry, we're going to handle it, and it never got handled, or it was one of those things that was just quietly swept under the rug, and maybe he even knew that at that point, that it got swept under the rug, or they handled it internally, and he just shrugged his shoulders. I mean, it's all supposition at this point.
From what I understand, I've actually took my own time and researched this case, and from my understanding, McQueary came to Joe Paterno. And here's the thing. McQueary never said he saw anal rape. He said that he thought he heard sexual sounds in a shower. He told Joe Paterno, well, first he told his father and his father's friend, which his father's friend is a doctor. So he's mandated abuse reporter. Well, they told him, they said, did you see anything? He said, no. They said, you sure you didn't see anything? He said, no. Well, if there's no eyewitness, there's no crime. So he goes to Joe Paterno and tells Joe Paterno, and Joe Paterno.
I think what you meant to say, if there's no eyewitness, you can't prove a crime.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, you can sit there and say that you saw anybody do anything.
Or you thought you heard, or you thought, something was going on in the other room, or it seemed like, or it felt like. None of that's admissible.
Right.
Exactly. And here's the question that I get when people tell me, well, hey, he said he saw rape. Well, let me ask you something. If you've seen a boy being raped, why did you walk away? Why didn't you step in and do something?
Oh, yeah, there's going to be an ass whipping over that. No two ways around
Exactly.
it. I mean, that's just going to be my natural instinct, is to grab that person and throw them as far away from that child as I can. And then whatever else happens after that, that's just between them and Jesus.
Exactly. And a lot of people, let me say something here. A lot of people don't think common sense wise about some of these things that, some of these allegations that was going on in Penn State. It's like the way the media and the narrative, and if you actually go back and you research the facts, and I mean, I've seen actual emails, I've seen court transcripts, I've seen a lot of things. I invested a lot of time in this. And when the media is trying to make you believe 2 + 2 = 7.
Well, let me ask you a question before you go any further, though. Now, when we start down this rabbit hole, is the case that you're making that Jerry Sandusky may not have done what he's convicted of doing?
Growing up, everything I learned about real Italian bread, I learned from a real Italian mama. And mama always told us that real Italian bread always starts with and the greatest Italian names end with O. The best Italian is real Italian. So take it from Joe Paterno. Milano, the real Italian.
What starts with and ends with Milano.
From the ovens of wholesome buttercrust.
Well, listen, I'm going to keep that personal opinion to myself, and I'm just going to stick with the Joe Paterno and the movie thing because, I'm going to keep that personal opinion to myself. And I just want to say that, there's a lot of things that doesn't make sense if you understand what I'm saying. Like some of the actual factual things that I've seen would make you question.
Give me a for instance. Just give me one for instance.
Okay. Well, there's actually a bunch. Let me think of one. Okay, let me think of one here. All right, victim number 2, which is his name's Dallin Myers. I can say his name because it's been made public. Okay. Jerry Sandusky. Now, this was the boy that was in the shower with McQuarrie in the so-called McQuarrie shower incident. Okay. The day Joe Paterno gets fired, okay, he goes to the police and he makes a statement. I was the boy in the shower. They questioned him, and there was no doubt in the police's mind he was the boy because of certain things that he only knew. He said, Jerry Sandusky never touched me, ever. He said, McQuarrie's a liar. There was never anything that was ever done in the shower. Okay? Now, this man, now there's proof of this. I do have proof of it.
And this was when the boy was originally questioned, or was this a short time later or years later?
No. Yeah, this was years later. Well, the shower incident happened in 2001.
Mm-hmm.
So the incident happened in 2011. So this is 10 years later.
10 years later. Okay.
So he makes the statement to the police, nothing happened. Well, this man, Alan Myers, invites Jerry and Dottie to his wedding. When Jerry's mother died, he drove 10 hours from, I think down there in Florida. He drove 10 hours back to Pennsylvania to be with Jerry when Jerry's mother died. And Jerry also walked this man out on his high school senior night as his father. And I'm thinking to myself, if this man molested you, why would you have him at your happiest day of your life in your wedding? Why would you drive 10 hours when his mother died to be with him? Do you understand where the common sense is playing in? It doesn't make any sense.
I let me just play devil's advocate here, and we're talking really devil, emphasis on the word devil. You know, there could have been one of those down low situations going on as well. That, you know, maybe, there was something that took place when this kid was younger, and it actually kind of kept on going as he got older. Do you see what I'm saying? I mean, and again, and look, I'm not saying that that's the case at all. But at the same time, as you were telling me these things, knowing, you know, what the media has said about this case and what came out in court and what he was convicted for, that's immediately the scenario my mind went to, is that, okay, this was one of those, what's the word I'm looking for? There's a word for this.
Started as abuse, and it
started as abuse,
blossomed into a real relationship.
Kind of like the thing with Mackenzie Phillips and her dad with Mamas and the Papas. Yeah. You see where I'm going with this? Yeah. I'm just saying, devil's advocate. You know, ran over.
Well, you got to remember, this man at the time, he's a Marine sergeant with wife, and he's married and got kids. So, and he'd been away from Jerry for a long time.
Yeah, you know how many gay dudes I know that were married and have kids? I'm just saying, man.
Well, I mean, okay, I can sit there and say, okay, in court, victim number 1, which was Aaron Fisher, and victim number 9, both said in court under testimony that they were over Jerry Sandusky's house same time, same weekend.
Mm-hmm.
But yet they only met each other once. Does that make any sense to you?
They never met each other once?
They only met each other once.
Was it at Jerry Sandusky's house?
On occasions, they put themselves at Jerry's house at the same exact time.
Mm-hmm.
But yet they only met each other once. See, it's things like that got to make you question. And like victim number 1, Aaron Fisher, like nobody believes him anymore. Nobody believes his whole story anymore. See, here's what the movie portrayed Aaron Fisher as a middle class, maybe lower middle class kid with a nice house and a decent mother.
Oh, they played that one up to the hilt.
Yeah, he was, at the time that this happened, he lived in the projects. His mother was like a barfly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and another thing about Aaron Fisher, too, a lot of people don't know, Aaron Fisher's ex-stepdad was convicted of over 100 counts of child molestation in Florida. And his uncle was also a victim in a child molestation case in Pennsylvania and was paid a settlement. It was some doctor or something got told on and he got convicted. I don't know how much time he did in jail, but his own uncle was a child molestation victim. So, you know, it's just facts like these that just keep coming up that got to make you question the victim's character. And, you know, I'm not trying to judge anybody because I know everybody's the same and I don't want to say anything bad about anybody, but you got to remember something. The day Joe Paterno got fired with the admin and with 2 administrators, no, there was 3 administrators, so I take that back. Penn State admitted guilt without even anyone going to trial.
You're right. You are right about that.
Exactly. They panicked. They said, you know what? We're firing Joe paterno. We're firing Spaniard, Graham, all them guys, and Schultz. We're guilty. And then they go announce, hey, we have $100 million for the victims. And then Sarah Ganem, the reporter, after Aaron Fisher came up with his story, she went actually fishing for other victims. I actually heard a tape recording of an attorney, one of the district attorneys, telling a police detective that was interviewing a victim, a so-called victim, telling the police officer, tell him it's okay that he says that Jerry molested him because we got people that can back up his story. That's on actual tape that I've heard.
That's rather damning. I'll give you that.
Huh?
I said that's rather damning. I'll give you that.
Exactly. And, you know, like victim number 9, Jerry Sandusky said, or no, I'm sorry, I take that back. It was victim number 7. Jerry Sandusky said, I never even remember this kid. So it's like they came out of the woodwork. And I don't know if you got the picture I sent you with the article. Well, I'm going to go back to Sarah Ganem. She posted an article praising Joe Paterno for what he did. And then she retracted, and then she went after him.
Well, I mean, because those type of headlines sell a lot more newspapers, particularly when a story that hot is going down.
Exactly. You got to remember, it's all about the money. You know, $100 million. And what's funny is you know, one lawyer, I think his name was Shubin. One lawyer represented 6 of the victims. And then so he went to, you know, that's a lot of money, you know, that he got in his pocket. You know, you got to think about it, you know, money can motivate people to do and say a lot of things.
Well, especially when you're talking about an army of lawyers and $100 million. I mean, you know, yeah, there's quite a bit of maneuvering in order to get that money in your briefcase.
Exactly. And then, like I said, going back, Penn State admitted guilt.
But you know, and you've said this with your own mouth that, you know, they did admit guilt, and I can't help but wonder, maybe that's why they were so quick to put it out. Not necessarily saying that every single one of these incidences were true, but perhaps Penn State knew that something was going on, or there was enough said about it, and they wanted it to just go away immediately because they knew that there was going to be some shit wash up on the doorstep no matter what.
Yeah, I understand. I mean, I get your point.
I mean, again, and look, and I get your point too. You know, maybe the case didn't involve as many players as it did, but to completely absolve Sandusky from any wrongdoing whatsoever is pretty tough to swallow.
Well, I will say this: Jerry Sandusky did not get a fair trial because. You got to, like I said, Penn State admitted guilt. Scott Paterno even basically said that Jerry Sandusky was guilty. Okay? Now, to this day, Jerry Sandusky does not admit guilt. He does. He never admitted to it.
That's probably wise when you're in the cell block. Smacking Off invites you to join us on the podcast. If you have an opinion on an upcoming game, some commentary on your conference, or want to roll with one of your fellow smackers on air, hit us up. You can message us at the Smacking Off or X's and O's Facebook pages, email me at maddenshannon@toothfairy.com, or call us on the Smack line, 304-508-BAIT. And as always, fuck your team.
Well, okay, look at the MSU case with that doctor. What did he do? He admitted it. There was porn found. You know, there was a lot of physical evidence. With the Jerry Sandusky case, there was no physical evidence whatsoever. All the prosecution had on Jerry was the victims, when they went to therapy, it was called repressed memory therapy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we know about that.
That right there can be debunked. I mean, let me ask you something. I'm going to be very kind of a little bit direct. If a man puts something in your ass, don't you think you would remember it and don't need a therapist to tell you it happened?
I remember the one time it's happened. I had to go to the proctologist and get it. I'm dead serious. I will never forget that day as long as I live. I told that story like 2 days ago.
What's that? I didn't hear that story.
And that was an innocent. I mean, he was supposed to do that.
No, it was a story relating the story to a friend of mine. I had to go get something checked out downstairs one time. Was having a little issue down there, and well, I didn't know what it was. I had a weird pain. Anyways, I went to my local doc in the box, and he apparently was there, but he was doing some administrative stuff, and he sends his intern in, and this kid's like 6'6" and looks like he played basketball somewhere. His hands are like, I mean, seriously, this kid's got like 12-foot long fingers. And he comes in there and he's, what's wrong with you? Let me get your vitals and all that other stuff. I tell him what's wrong. And he said, well, who do you want to do the examination? And I shit you not, I looked at him, I looked down at them big ass hands he had, and I said, whichever one of y'all's got smaller hands. And he he chuckled nervously. He walked out, and 5 minutes later, he come in slinging on one of the biggest rubber gloves I've ever seen in my whole life. He said, Doc's busy, bend over. Trauma, dude. Yeah, oh, man, it was trauma.
Ever since I turned 40, I get my yearly physical, and I got to get that prostate.
I'm late. I just turned 43, and I haven't done it. That was when I was in my 20s, well into my 20s. But anyways, I'm sorry. But anyways, I got completely off course. You were saying.
But yeah, like I said, like a lot of things okay, I'm going to go back. Listen, I have a habit of jumping around, so if I am, feel free to stop me. But Jerry Sandusky did not have a fair trial at all whatsoever, period. You got to remember, the media made him look guilty. Penn State made him look guilty. The Paterno family made him look guilty. He's having his trial in Lock Haven, or it was just right outside of State College. Mm-hmm. Okay. You have a mob meeting. Now, you got a picture like back in the 1920s film, Frankenstein, with the people out there with pitchforks and torches wanting to hang this guy.
Yeah.
And even Joe Amendola, his attorney, tried to get more time for the case. The judge denied that right off the bat. So, no, you're trying them now. Because you remember, there's a lot of things going on. You need time. So after Jerry Sandusky was found guilty, Joe Amendola himself comes out and he makes an announcement. And he said, Jerry Sandusky, he said, the jury got it wrong. He said he did not have a fair trial. So even though his own attorney knows that he didn't get a fair trial at all, the only way that Jerry Sandusky would get a fair, unbiased trial is if he appealed it and went to federal court. Because then those judges would have to look at everything.
I don't think federal court wants to touch it, though. Because, I mean, that would be absolutely...
These juries come out right out of Penn State's backyard.
Yeah. And I can definitely see where that would automatically taint your jury pool.
Exactly. And like I said, he didn't get a fair trial. And then I'm going to go back to Paterno. You know, Paterno was never indicted. He was never charged with any crime. And how the movie said in 98 that he knew, that's a lie. That's a flat out lie. Joe Paterno did not know about the 98, did not know about what happened in 98 because he was never told. Because what happened was the boy come home, his hair was wet, his mother questioned him. She went to the police. The police actually set up a sting on Jerry and put Jerry, the boy, and his mother in a room, and they wiretapped them. And guess what? There was nothing found. There was no sexual, no nothing, no molestation whatsoever Jerry was convicted of or even charged. So there was no reason for Joe Paterno to even know this. I mean, people think that Joe Paterno and Jerry Sandusky were like best buddies. No, they were not.
Oh, I know. They definitely did not like each other. It
was a complete professional relationship when they coached at Penn State.
Yeah.
You know, and so, you know, they didn't even like each other. You know, Jerry's wife kicked Joe Paterno out of his house a few times for cussing.
Really?
And seriously. Yeah, I mean,
kick Joe Paterno out of her house? Who the fuck does that?
Well, you got to understand something. Jerry and Dottie are very, very religious Christian people. Okay? I mean, as far as their faith, they're very, very Christian people. And Dottie Sandusky, I've actually talked to Dottie Sandusky. And I asked her a couple questions. And just let's say this, Dottie Sandusky, if Dottie Sandusky thought her husband was a pedophile, she'd have left him. But she still stays with him because she says that I know Jerry didn't do it. Jerry has never lied to me. And it goes back to what I said about them being Christians. Jerry, I understand, you know, the charges and the allegations against him, but Jerry did a lot of things good for kids. He did. And then, well, then you can throw out, hey, Matt Sandusky, his own son, said that he molested him too. Well, not a lot of people know something about Matt Sandusky. Matt Sandusky was a very troubled kid, begged Jerry Sandusky to adopt him. The kid was living in a wretched, cockroach-filled house with no running water, no electricity half the time. So he goes and begs Jerry Sandusky to adopt him. Jerry adopts him. Well, the kid still got into trouble. Did you know that he got busted selling Jerry Sandusky's national championship rings?
Really?
On eBay?
How much was he asking for him?
Oh, I don't know what he was asking for him.
What's a
but
Penn
he
State
got
championship
busted
ring?
stealing Jerry's rings. Well, here's the whole thing. Matt knew that his dad was going to jail for good. He knew it. He flipped. He said, you know what? Well, this is me. I can't say that because that's really not my place to say because I don't know what he was thinking. But my theory is that he was thinking, well, hey, you know, Dad's going to be gone. Who the hell's going to take care of me? I can just flip. You know that his brothers said that Matt tried to get him to lie for him? You gotta remember, Jerry Sandusky adopted 5 kids, 4 boys and 1 girl. But yeah, Jerry's such a monster that he only molests 1 kid.
There is a university nestled in Pennsylvania's lush Happy Valley that prepares the leaders of tomorrow. And since 1855, those leaders have called its campus home and its community family. But like in all families, there are secrets. And secrets sometimes get out. But that doesn't mean we stop being a family, right? If the answer is yes, you're clearly a very judgmental person. If it's no, look over there. It's another news van. Nobody messes with the family. We are Penn State University, a proud member of the NCAA and not at all affiliated with NAMBLA, so please stop calling.
Welcome Kyle Golik to the show and Sean Vergowven.
Two longtime friends of Smacking Off. They're actually up from up in that northern region there, and talked about Penn State quite a bit.
It was a giant cluster fuck for me because not only did Lodge run over, the highway that gets me back to my house was shut down, so I had to loop around the city of Pittsburgh to just get home here. I thought this thing was at 9 Eastern, which is why I was kind of like putting the downer on it. Then when you guys said, hey, it's on at 10, I'm like, I'm back.
Hey.
Pittsburgh is the common theme in this conversation.
It is. Let me sum up what Chris has said so far. Chris says he hasn't really went out and said that Sandusky is innocent. But what he has said is that Sandusky did not get a fair trial. What do you think about that, Kyle?
I don't think he did either. I think the setting alone is a reason why he didn't have a fair trial. Right in the middle of Bellefonte, with all the hard feelings going on, especially post-mortem of Joe Paterno's death, I don't think he could have gotten a fair trial in the state of Pennsylvania. I think it should have gone more to a neutral site.
Sean, what do you think?
I think they're right. He was never going to get a fair trial, but at the same time, I mean, you need a legal precedent to change for a change of venue, and they were never going to get one. He was stuck. He was going to be stuck in the state of Pennsylvania. It didn't matter if they were in Pittsburgh or anywhere in between. They were in the state of Pennsylvania.
They could have held it dab smack in the middle of Tennessee, and I think the outcome would have become the same.
Basket to try to get the change of venue, as Sean put out there. And he's right. There was no way the state of Pennsylvania was going to let this go, because keep this in mind. The Attorney General of Pennsylvania that spearheaded this, Tom Corbett, had just become governor of Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
Do you really think the judge of Pennsylvania is going to allow that to just disappear?
And he was also a Penn State Board of Trustee, too.
He was a Penn State Board of Trustee based on him holding the governorship. Governor of Pennsylvania has an honorary seat on the Board of Trustees at Penn State.
What y'all think of the movie?
I thought it was excellent. I really did. I'm not going to hold back. I think Barry Levinson's a great director.
How truthful do you think it was?
Truthful? I'm going to say 80 to 90% truthful. I think there's some artistic stuff in there that he does, but that's Hollywood for you.
How about the right at the end? They took a jab right at the end, and they basically made you believe that Joe Paterno has known about allegations all the way back to 1976.
Did they though, or did they just make it?
Yeah, it's kind of an innuendo. It was just kind of thrown in there. I think
it was perfect because, and again, with me being a Penn State fan and a Penn State homer, it's really easy for me to say, "Oh, they fucked us with that ending." They really didn't, because at some point, Jerry Sandusky did do something. Okay. What I think Barry Levinson did throughout the movie, and if you catch what he was trying to do with Joe Paterno's character played by Al Pacino, was like, he was so, and this is true with any of the head coaches across the country. They're so immersed in the jobs that it's almost impossible for them to even break away from it. And if you remember the scene with Sue Paterno towards the end of the movie, right before that quote-unquote dagger, as you described, where she was describing how Jerry would play with the kids in the pool.
Yep.
And Joe would be like, "Jerry, our kids?" Yeah. And Sue would say, "You wouldn't get in the pool and play with them. That's something dads do." And remember that whole scene of Joe Paterno when he's going through his MRI of having that flashback. I'm thinking I think part of the thing that he was trying to describe with Joe Paterno, was there were all these signals that he was doing something, but he just couldn't read the signals. With the call at the end, even the state of Pennsylvania, there was a follow-up court case. So Penn State had an insurance policy, and every major company and every major university has malpractice insurance or any sort of crazy insurance in case, hey, if one of my executives commits sexual harassment and someone's suing us for millions of dollars, it isn't going to ruin the company. Well, the same thing applies here. Well, Penn State took an illegal, their counsel was, with all these people coming forth saying Jerry Sandusky molested me, is it cheaper for us to just pay these people off versus going through and vetting each case? it's really just easy to find some sort of settlement.
Yeah.
And
when you talk about the bad publicity and it just lingering and
yeah. And it's just, it'll just keep going, and it's just people just kill it.
a lot of people that don't think this kind of thing through, they look at that as an admission of guilt. But when you're talking about a major college football enterprise here,
yeah,
I mean,
you're talking about something that this, it cost Penn State alone already $93 million.
No, it's $118 million. It's up to $118 million right now.
Okay, I mean, even further enhances the argument being thrown out there. Even at $120 million, roughly, that's a lot of money just to handle up. And what I was getting at was the quote unquote mystery caller at the end. His name was actually brought up in a case that the insurance company brought against Penn State. Like, why are you settling without vetting? His name right here, as I'm pulling it up, Michael Quinn. And right now, he asserted that, started that as a ninth grader, he had the gumption to immediately tell several Penn State football players about what Sandusky had supposedly done. Quinn also claimed that the next day he tracked down Paterno in a hallway outside the coach's office. But when Quinn tried to tell Paterno about what Sandusky allegedly done to him, Paterno allegedly replied, "I don't want to hear about any of that kind of stuff. I have a football season to worry about." So consider the era, too. Still in the early to mid-'70s, children were still seen and not heard, even though we had that revolution that went through America, number one. Number two, let's also take it from this point of view. Let's just say Sandusky did molest him.
Right.
If he molested him, when something traumatic happens to you, can you say with a straight face to another person what happened? Usually, I mean, how many times have you come home to see someone in your family like upset about something? They're all over the place. This is a child we're even talking about.
Right.
So you have that awkwardness with Joe Paterno. Number three, Sandusky already has this established with. He's just established the second mile. If you're going with the time reference, he's been at Penn State. He's tenured at that point, about 10 to 12 years. And if the kid's coming off awkward, do you really think Joe Paterno's going to waste time with that? He's not even trained to even understand what had happened. No college football coaches, because all the students and the kids that they deal with are young adults. They're the youngest 17 years old, and in their program, so they're not trained to handle the situation that occurred there.
Mm-hmm. Sean, what's your thoughts on this movie and Joe Paterno and Sandusky?
No. To be fair, I don't get HBO, so I've not seen the movie. But I will tell you this is having been a huge college football fan and being in the Big Ten and seeing this whole situation occur from an outsider's perspective, I think it's a little of column A, a little of column B. So the pinnacle question or the penultimate question is always, did Joe know, right? And if he did, how much did he know and when did he know? I think it's a little bit of like I think as Kyle is saying, is there were indications, there were signs like that something wasn't necessarily right, but Joe either wasn't, and not to insult him, not smart enough to see them for what they were, or he chose to ignore them. So begs the question, was he just he was past that era where he just couldn't see it, or was there a malicious intent on his part? And so that's the ultimate question. And honestly, based upon what you read, the free report and then the one commissioned by the Paterno family, I mean, there's a lot of conflicting information out there, and I think everyone agrees that at some point Joe knew something, but it's a matter of what he knew, how much he knew, and when he knew it. And honestly, it is a very hard statement hard line to take, to say for sure Joe knew that about this at this time, and this is what he did to it.
What?
Smackingoff.com.
What?
Smackingoff.com.
What?
Smackingoff.com.
What?
Smackingoff.com.
What?
Smackingoff.com.
home of the official podcast of college football Smack.
The movie doesn't really leave any kind of question. The movie pretty much just simply states it as fact that the reporter heard this, so obviously it must have been true because it's in this movie.
No, they just had it. They just had it said in the movie. It didn't. I mean, the movie didn't make an official.
I don't
statement.
know. At the very end of it, the
I mean, we do know that there was
the claim that he knew back as far back as 1976.
There is a transcript to back it up, but like you said, it's not proven. But all they did is let you know that somebody did say that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's dishonest or anything, but
well, maybe not. I don't know. It further skewed their notion that Paterno did know, and he knew, most likely knew as far back as 1976.
Well, can I say something here? There wasn't even an accusation back in '71.
Wow.
That a boy was up hitchhiking. And Jerry picked him up. Now, get this story. Jerry picked him up, drank beer with him, and smoked marijuana, took him to the campus, and molested him there.
Mm-hmm.
But
you don't want to do that shit when you're driving.
76 days. Even the 76 victim, his own attorney doesn't believe it. There's no proof that Joe Paterno knew in 76. There's no absolute physical evidence Joe Paterno knew in 1976.
So that was a cheap shot, in your opinion?
It wasn't mine.
Right.
You know, and again, I'm not really.
I mean, I think it's fine for them to put something out there that it was said. I mean, if the problem is too many people watch something like that, and
the way the whole entire movie strung it together was that Paterno did know. And it was, I believe it was like Sean just a moment ago said that, you know, maybe he just was from that different era and the little signs and clues that we would normally pick up on it, you know, I guess being conditioned living in 2018.
Yeah, I mean, I think
we're a pretty jaded bunch. If you
see something like that, when I see it, I think to myself, well, okay, that's an allegation. It doesn't mean anything.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people, they see that and they're like, oh, he knew about it back in 1976.
Well, especially now, coupled with all these other allegations, then it must certainly have been true because, you know, he's a serial molester, so on and so forth.
HBO said it, and they don't
Which,
lie.
you know, and to be fair, he is a convicted serial child molester. We can't get over that, regardless of whether we think the trial was fair or it should have been held in a different venue or whatever the case. He gets convicted and he's serving time right now.
I think number one.
Can I say one thing?
Yes.
Okay, the case, the way the movie portrays, there was a victim in 76. Okay, then there was a victim in 98, and then in 2001.
Mm-hmm.
So look how many years are in between 76 and 98.
Well, and someone could argue too that there's a lot of other victims out there. You know,
here's my take on it, and number one, I don't think we'll ever know the truth, and I think that has to be given. I think we can assert certain things. Jerry Sandusky did do something. Okay, there's too many people involved with this to say, oh, he only just showered with them or whatnot. B, I do firmly believe at some point, you know, I think Joe Paterno knew something but didn't know how to interpret it. I think that's a key thing there. I think the third thing is, and the movie does this, and not a lot of people are talking about this, like, oh, Joe Paterno did this, that, and the other. Did you realize that Gary Schultz is a primary figure in it? Here he has all this information. You know, his secretary brings him the secret file.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Remember, his position with Penn State University is the head of the University Park Police Department. So with him holding that there, and then you see in the movie him and Tim Curley say that, you know, let's just tell him not to have kids come back here anymore. Here's the
that was true. That was true.
Here's the thing. To me, this again goes to, I mentioned this in a previous podcast with you guys. And then Chris brought this up a moment ago. There were so many people that are trained on this that didn't do their jobs. The 1998 example of Sandusky showering with a kid, Pennsylvania local police department and CYS were in the mother's home when Jerry Sandusky was basically spilling his guts, and they couldn't pull the trigger then on him. That it just goes to show you, like, to me, this is another thing. To pin Joe Paterno, like, this is the reason why everyone's life got screwed, to me isn't fair to Joe Paterno. If anything, his ignorance of not understanding of what signs he was seeing, should college football coaches go through training of this when their professions is dealing with young adults that aren't minors? That's, I think, the things that we got to also look at this moving forward. Because if this happens at another school, how are the coaches in that situation going to handle this? Remember, what Joe Paterno did when he found out from Michael McQuarrie and he did the COC with that, that is now the NCAA bylaw. Like, no college football coach, if this ever happens again, will do exactly what Joe Paterno did. So that means if you're saying we didn't do enough, what you're also saying is any other coach that runs into this will not be doing enough. Meanwhile, they're doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Well, and it's like, Chris, before we brought you and Sean into the conversation, Kyle, Chris had related a personal story that he'd went through when he was a middle school coach. Mm-hmm. And immediately was told, hey, if anything happens like that, come to the administration first. Don't go to the law enforcement, because, again, if you go to law enforcement...
Not first. They just said come to the administration.
Yeah, come to the administration. Don't worry about law enforcement. We'll handle that if necessary.
Right.
And I'm sure, I'm almost dead positive, and I've said this a long time ago when this case first dropped, that, of course, that's probably, if Joe Paterno heard anything or anything was said about it, he immediately went to the administration.
The threat for Joe Paterno to go to the law was that he turns this in and nothing comes of it. Then he could lose his job.
Yeah.
That's the way it's set up.
Lose his job, set up the person that he accused can sue them for libel and slander. I mean, there's just all sorts of just really nasty things that can happen if he steps outside of the chain of command. And that's why all of these institutions, I think just about every school in the land, whether they be an elementary school, whether they be a prep school, or whether
it's not to harm children that are,
it's
not to slight children that may be been harmed or anything. It's to protect.
Now, having said that, though,
it's to protect innocent people from getting slandered.
And having said that, though, the system is set up to where sometimes people get harmed.
They do, and there's no way around it.
Where victims get harmed.
There's no way around it.
Where victims don't receive the justice that they would normally receive if the authorities were involved, because it gets swept under the rug. Now, my supposition has always been, was Jerry Sandusky that influential of a character that Penn State would know about these sort of things, or at least suspect these sort of things, and still allow it to continue? Or, well, there just can't be anything to it, even though we've heard several anecdotes and we had to take, cautions and procedures about him bringing children in the locker rooms and this, that, and the other. I mean, I don't know.
But keep this in mind. At the height of Jerry Sandusky's powers, he had created the largest charity in Pennsylvania, a charity so celebrated that in 1991, then President Bush came to State College to award the second mile a high honor here. Other celebrities such as Cal Ripken Jr., Bill Cosby, Mr.
Ooh,
Rogers.
yeah. Let's not bring Bill Cosby up in this conversation. That's another one right there.
But the point is, he had created a machine, essentially. And again, I recommend, if you really want to get into this, there's a guy who is a writer for Criminal Minds, and his name is Jim Clemente, and the YouTube channel is Mind Over Matter. And he does an interview on there because he was asked to do the Paterno report along with former U.S. Attorney General Dick Thornburgh, Wick Sellers, who was the legal representation for President Reagan and both President Bushes, and Jim Clemente was involved, and then one of the deep psychologists from Johns Hopkins also wrote an essay in the Paterno report. And Jim Clemente does a great 48-minute interview, and he was molested as a child, and he explains about how serial a pedophile Jerry Sandusky was. Like, he's the elite of the elite that even people that are trained for almost years at the FBI have a hard time identifying. How do you expect a college football coach to figure that out when that's not like Joe?
Yeah, but he was a legend. He should have.
His mind. Joe Paterno went to Brown. His major was the law, so he was a football coach.
Right.
Like, he's not understanding how to pick up the psychology and the behaviors of a serial pedophile.
Can I rebuttal here, Kyle, real quick?
Go ahead.
There was a book recently wrote by Mark Pendergrass called "The Most Hated Man in America: The Jerry Sandusky Scandal."
Mm-hmm.
Have you read it? Have you read it?
I've read a summary, but I haven't had an opportunity to read it.
Okay.
I know it by name.
So he's a best-selling author. He wrote a book on repressed memory therapy, and that's what actually got him into, investigating the Jerry Sandusky, case. And I don't know, but did you remember what Mark Pendergrass's overview of that book was?
I don't offhand there, Chris, unfortunately.
Well, now this is not me now. Mark Pendergrass openly says that Jerry Sandusky did not commit these crimes.
Did not commit any of these crimes.
There's a couple people out there that are on that Jerry Sandusky did not do this wagon, too.
Oh, there's a lot of people that believe, but they won't come forward because a lot of people, you got to remember the nature of the subject.
A very unpopular opinion.
Yep.
Yeah.
Frank Harris, a former Penn Stater, he's been in Paterno's corner. There's a lot of people that know Jerry. I've listened to Jerry Sandusky, his 2 prison interviews, and I will say something about Jerry Sandusky. Jerry Sandusky is not a very brilliant man. He really is not. No, he's not very bright at all. My opinion of him was like, how the hell did you get a major coaching job at Penn State in this plum dump? And, and a lot of people don't know the history of Jerry Sandusky. Jerry Sandusky's father ran a recreation center
in Washington.
So he also was very comfortable with showering, in public showers with other men and so forth. And Jerry Sandusky was also a very touchy-feely guy. How many guys know guys that come up to you and touch you and rub you on your shoulders and, headlock you and stuff like that? That kind of stuff creeps me out myself.
Yeah, I don't like that. If you come up and start touching on me, and we don't know each other, really, really, really super well, and we're not having sex on a regular basis, you might as well fucking forget about it because we're gonna fight.
But let's begin this morning with the sudden end of an era at Penn State University. Just 12 hours after legendary football coach Joe Paterno announced that he's going to retire because of the child sex abuse charges against his former top assistant, the university fired him, along with Penn State's president.
The late-night decision sparked an angry protest by thousands of Penn State students. Chief Investigative Correspondent Armin Katayan is at the campus in State College, Pennsylvania, with the latest. Good morning, Armin.
Good morning, Betty. In the end, the Board of Trustees determined it had to clean house and Joe had to go, as well as University President Graham Spanier.
And according to U.S.
Shortly after 10 p.m., thousands of students jammed downtown streets, overturning a TV news truck, knocking over light poles, and throwing rocks at police. Their anger fueled by this announcement from the Penn State Board of Trustees.
The Board of Trustees and Graham Spanier have decided that effective immediately, Dr. Spanier is no longer president of the university. In addition, Joe Paterno is no longer the head football coach, effective immediately.
It was a unanimous vote by the board that officially ended Paterno's legendary 46-year run as head coach. He was replaced on an interim basis by defensive coordinator Tom Bradley.
What was the driving reason behind the removal of Coach Paterno?
In consideration of all the facts and the difficulties that we are encountering during this time, it was the trustees' view that it was in the best interest, long-term interest of our university to make that change.
Despite repeated requests, Board Vice Chairman John Surma refused to say exactly what those best interests were, but made clear the child sex abuse scandal had reached a point where drastic measures were needed.
I would hope that everyone would agree that what we're doing is what we believe in our best judgment is in the best long-term interest of the university, which is much larger than athletic programs.
A source close to the family told CBS News the 84-year-old Paterno, an icon of coaching, had been informed of the decision in a hand-delivered letter by a university official just 15 minutes prior to the press conference. Outside his home with wife Sue at his side, Paterno thanked a boisterous crowd of supporters.
One thing, thanks, and pray a little bit for those victims.
Paterno also released a formal statement saying he was disappointed with the decision, but I have to accept it. Adding, to all of our fans and supporters, my family and I will be forever in your debt.
According to a source close to the Paterno family, Coach Paterno was stunned by the firing. The family's thinking going something like this: Chris, you give your life to this place, and this is how you're treated.
CBS's Armin Kate in In-State College, Pennsylvania, for us this morning. Armin, thank you.
I'm talking about anybody, man or woman. I'm not about that. I was on a job site not too long ago. I do plumbing work for a living, and we're in the trades. Had a lady that had kind of, she was running this building that we were working in, and it was one of those where she was trying to sass, and I kind of just gave her a blank look because I couldn't believe the words coming out of her bitch mouth. And then she, I guess, tries to make me feel better and, tries to rub my arm or something. And that was the worst fucking thing she could have done.
Oh, man.
Did you punch her?
I came very close. When I flinched, it freaked her out a little bit because I was like, please don't touch me. Go ahead and take your hand off of me, and let's go ahead and take 3 steps back now so I can process what you just did. So, I'm definitely I'm sorry, I don't like touchy-feely. I'm not about it.
Let's get everybody to give us a departing thoughts on this before we hang up on them.
Go ahead, Kyle.
Oh, wonderful. To me, I think the biggest mistake people can do with this is judge this whole thing based on an hour and 47-minute HBO movie. There's so many.
They need at least to listen to this segment first before.
Yes. This segment needs to accompany that movie.
Starter. But there's so much more materials out there that, Joe Paterno's never going to get a clean name out of this. And and every Penn State person knows that. But the one thing I think every Penn State person would love to hear is at least people realizing that this, if we're going to put a tower of blame up, Joe Paterno isn't at the top of it.
No, he's not. But he's perceived at the top because he's
Joe Paterno. Yeah.
It's of who he is. Personally, I think the movie was great. I do feel people should just give it a watch. I think Levinson does a great job. It makes you try to think of many different angles on it. Some people are just going to focus on Joe Paterno, but there's so much more. I can't believe how fair Sarah Ganem was in her consultation of the film with Penn State. I do believe that there has to come a point where, we have to just realize we're still determining how we remember Joe Paterno amongst each other, and that's going to be a big thing for that. For the nation abroad, I would just wish people would look at Joe Paterno and say, look, football coach, there's probably 2 or 3 coaches that are maybe better than him all time. But as a human being, he had faults. He just couldn't read a situation, and potentially that was the harmful thing and what did him in and what we should all take away from it. And this is for moving forward as.
But it's all speculation on what there was there for him to read.
And is just be more aware, communicate, and then maybe look at adjusting the rules for it. Is what Joe Paterno did satisfactory enough? If we all say no, then we need to determine how that gets done and how we can protect due process for the person being accused too. Because even if Joe Paterno does go to the cops right away with this, Jerry Sandusky, even before he's convicted, is is afforded by our Constitution due process going through it.
Right.
So that's my closing comments.
Sean, we're going to let Chris go last, but Sean, go ahead and take your hardest swipe at Penn State, at Joe Paterno and Jerry Sandusky.
Roll your sleeves up.
Actually, my hardest swipe is going to be at the NCAA. They had no business stepping into this and offering any type of sanction.
Bingo.
Period.
Yep. Yeah, that's a whole nother segment, but you're right.
We could do a whole hour on that. Yeah.
Sorry, but like that, to me, that is the biggest takeaway from all of this, is the NCAA stepped in because they thought they needed to step in, and yet they had absolutely no bearing,
no jurisdiction whatsoever. Nothing to do with players. Nothing.
How much of that money that they fined Penn State did they receive?
None.
Zero.
Yeah, it all went to a charity, and a fund.
Well, some of it didn't go anywhere because the was it the governor at the time, or a senator?
Yeah, I want to say it was state senator.
Jake Foreman.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said no dice. This is taxpayer money. This is not. We're not paying this.
Yep.
Yeah, and to me that is the biggest. So my hatred for the NCAA will show here.
But you're right.
That is the biggest thing that I love about that came out of this thing, is that Penn State just like Baylor did. Penn State had called the NCAA's bluff and said, no, we're not going to pay you. And the NCAA backed down.
Because they had no jurisdiction to collect it.
No, they had no jurisdiction to do with anything. I mean, this was a criminal investigation. It didn't have anything to do.
A criminal act, and at best, at most, what they could have done is they could have put a 4-year or whatever 10-year show cause on Joe Paterno. That anyone that hires Joe Paterno is going to have a 10-year bowl ban, whatever.
How old was
ban,
Paterno at the time?
Jim
Like
Tressel.
83?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he died 9 months after he quit.
Which is a whole nother subject. I'm pretty sure that the stress of this, and cancer don't go too well together.
No.
See, I think it's the exact opposite. I don't think it was the stress that killed him. I think it was the fact that he existed for the last 10 years to coach football. Once that was taken away from him, he kind of lost the reason to wake up in the morning.
Well, you could definitely.
I mean, doing it for 70 years.
Bryant did the same thing.
Number one killer of old people is retirement.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
But so my biggest swipe isn't at Penn State; it's at the NCAA.
Yep, I definitely agree with you on that. Chris, give us your parting shots.
Let me just say something real quick. Yeah, I believe that the NCAA had no business jumping in on that case. They had no grounds to run sanctions. But then again, I think that what they did was make Penn State an example in the future to what not to do in case of any accusations or whatever comes, along to any other college.
Don't run out and say, "Hey, yeah, you're right, we did it," and basically confess to shit that they didn't even know if they done it or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. As far as the movie, I think the movie played a bittersweet Joe Paterno. And I think the movie was kind of very subjective because you really don't know what Joe Paterno really had in his mind. And as far as him, passing away, I mean, look at Bear Bryant. I mean, he passed away within a year of coaching football.
Almost identical to Paterno's situation. He retired.
Exactly.
He retired in November or whatever. He did his bowl game. He did do his bowl game. He didn't get cut short like Paterno did. But anyway, he was dead by January 23rd, I believe.
Yeah. I will say the one thing, and I'll say this for a lot of Penn State fans, is that, back in 2005, Penn State wanted Joe Paterno gone.
That's true.
But Joe Paterno wasn't having it. The previous 2 seasons, he won 6 games in 2 seasons. So they were trying to get Joe set aside, and Joe just wasn't going. And everybody knows, a lot of Penn State fans I've talked to know, probably from 2006 on, it was the coordinators that ran that football team. Joe Paterno was more like a Christmas ornament on a beautiful Christmas tree. Like the star on the Christmas tree. And I really can't say that the scandal really killed him. I mean, I know that he had complications of cancer. So other than that, I think the movie, like I said, it played a bittersweet Joe Paterno. There were some things in the movie with some personal research that I've done that I can sit there and object to. And like I said, it depends on who views it and where they take it from there. Penn State did fight back. I mean, thank God for Bill O'Brien and James Franklin to come along. Yep.
Franklin is a hell of a coach. I'm a big Franklin fan.
Oh my God! I mean, to be honest with you, when Penn State hired him, I was actually excited. But I do give a lot of credit to Bill O'Brien. Now, the only thing I got to say about Bill O'Brien is I think he would have stayed longer if it wasn't for all the Joe Paterno people. That it was like, hey, you run the team this way. This is how Joe would run it, and you can't do that to a football coach.
What happened at Alabama when Ray Perkins came?
Yeah, it's just it's typical when you follow a legend like that for there to be a lot of.
I feel sorry for the guy that's got to come in after Saban.
Yeah.
Well.
Oh no! After Saban, Bama's fallen into the toilet for at least 5 years because those board of trustees, the fans aren't going to let whoever follows Saban run the team the way he needs to keep it running.
Bullshit. I think Dabo Swinney's going to do a great job. True story.
Yeah, so Dabo's going to leave the ACC where it's a two-man show to come to the SEC. Come on, we both know that's not true.
He's Alabama.
I mean, it is a one-man show in the SEC, so.
Yeah, but he'll be the one-man show when he comes because the one man that you're talking about will be leaving.
I didn't mean to cut you off, Chris.
Yeah, we have just stepped all over Chris.
Chris says,
Sorry,
fuck you people.
All I got to say is that as far as the whole Penn State scandal, a lot of people need to look outside the box and look at some of the facts that wasn't, presented in the movie.
Well, the typical person's not going to do that. The typical person is going to look at the movie and say, "Yep, see."
Yeah, because it fits the media narrative,
right?
It fits all of the headlines and all the salacious things that we saw in the newspapers.
Typically, if it won't fit on a meme in 3 lines,
yeah,
it's not.
Yeah,
you're not going to get the average person with it.
Well, listen, fellas, I got to get going. You guys have a great night, and thank you so much for having me on your show.
Thanks for coming on, man. We really appreciate it. And guys, as always, fuck your team. Good night, guys. Take care.
Please subscribe to our channel by clicking the small smacking off icon at the top of the screen now. Click the link at the bottom of the screen to watch last week's episode.